Hey guys, I'm doing my blog on my writing methods today in bed with blankets on because I'm tired and blankets are comforting. Anyway, first off, some updates and reminders. The Home of Our Hearts is now available on Amazon, so if you haven't yet gone and bought it, go do that. It's like $10. Hopefully I get a lot of sales on it. I hope all of you guys really enjoy it and it speaks to you and you just enjoy the reading. It's a pretty light read and I hope you guys all go and buy it. I'm holding you to that. Secondly, if you live in Los Lunas or Albuquerque and you want a copy that is $2 off and is signed with my new and improved signature, then contact me on my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/DeannaLeeWrites, or email me at god_rocks_yx@yahoo.com, and we'll figure out a meeting place, and I'll get you a copy, and all you have to do is give me $8. Then, also, if you are a business in Los Lunas, Albuquerque, Valencia, or Berlin, please let me know. Contact me on the email I mentioned, and I will provide you with books with the Home of Our Hearts for a discounted price of $6 for you to sell at your location, and you don't have to do, basically anything. You contact me, I'll order the books, I'll bring them to you, and you just give me $6 per book. Next is I have more social media accounts. I have a Twitter and an Instagram account now. If you want quick little updates about me and you can't get them through Facebook, absolutely go to Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Deanna_Lee. Remember, Lee is spelled L-E-A-H, not L-E-E. And then my Instagram is Deanna.cook.716. Next, I just finished reading my friend Christina's book, Damon, and it is a great book. I really greatly enjoyed reading it. It was super, super interesting and enlightening, and her characters had great depth. She was nearing her last draft, and so I was just helping her with some spelling and structure mistakes and stuff. But I'm looking for a new editing project. So if you have a novel or a short story or an essay or even a blog that you would like me to help be an editor of, or you're a small business that needs someone who can help them create content for their website, or you're a blogger who needs new content, contact me on my Facebook page or through my email. I would be so excited to help you. My whole passion is helping other writers better themselves and to create dragons in this world, because the world needs more fearless people. And so if you want a fearless persona, if you want to become everything you can be, please contact me, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. We can figure out whatever we need to figure out when you email me or private message me on Facebook. And all of these, all my Twitter handle and all of that, and all my contact information will be in the description. So if you need that, it's down there. So today's topic in my writing methods is writing the first draft. This is topic 5. We did character creation, we did building blocks of a story, and a whole bunch of other interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into first draft. This is the most exciting, you guys, and the most scary. Be a dragon. Here we go. First, why I put every other writing project aside while I write that first draft. So, a lot of people that are authors, they have multiple projects going at once. So they're editing this book, they're writing this book, they're marketing another book. That's kind of like what I'm doing right now. I have 3 different projects going on. Actually more like 4, considering I do freelance stuff too. And that's not counting school projects. So what I would recommend, especially for beginning writers, but for every writer, is to put aside all of your unnecessary projects like if you are editing a book right now, and you really don't have to be doing that right now, or if you have some freelance editing or anything like that that you're doing, put that aside for a month or so while you're chugging out that first draft. The reason being that if you have multiple projects going at once, it can get confusing and distracting. Because when you're writing the first draft, you really don't know where you're going yet. And then if you're editing this other little book on the side here, you could get the two stories kind of meshed and melded, and it could become kind of weird. So that's my first tip, is to put aside other writing projects when possible while you're writing your first draft. Second, we're going to cover tips and tricks during your month or longer odyssey into the recesses of your mind. Now, this is really true, you guys. Basically, writing is literally just going into your brain and seeing absolutely how insane you are. And that's why it's so great. It's a confusing, weird adventure writing. So when you're writing your first draft, I would recommend, first of all, focus, like I said, on one project. Because if you have a bunch of craziness going on at once, it doesn't really work out. My first tip would be to do NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. You can find them on Google, or something similar. Basically, what NaNoWriMo is, in November, it's National Novel Writing Month. You write 50,000 word novel in a month's time. And that is what really, like I mentioned before, it's what really helped me get out a complete story. I used to get stuck in the middle and not know where to go, but when I had NaNoWriMo, I had a daily word count that I needed to reach, so I could reach 50,000 words at the end of the month. You don't have to do NaNoWriMo. You don't have to do 50,000 words if that is not the length that your story is going to be. Rather, set yourself something up that's like NaNoWriMo. If you need to do 5,500 words in a month, like I do in October, do it in October and do 5,500 words. It's really flexible, and it doesn't have to be NaNoWriMo, but if you're looking to get out 50,000 words or more, I would highly recommend NaNoWriMo. It has been super encouraging and helpful. They have like forums and messages where you can talk to other authors who are going through the same type of journey. They have like forums where they talk about different genres and different writing tips, and they have even on there people who would help you illustrate your book or create a cover for your book when it's done. So NaNoWriMo is a great resource if you're looking for a sort of competition-based, encouraging, motivating sort of deal. NaNoWriMo is definitely what I would recommend. It is a great resource. Secondly, lots of coffee. The reason I put that is really not that you have to drink coffee while you're writing your first draft, although I think most normal human beings would drink coffee while they're writing their first draft and staying up all night and getting up early in the morning. But really what I just mean is reward yourself. When you reach like half of your word count for that day, take a break and give yourself something that you can like actually like eat or drink that you love and that you enjoy, or like watch a TV show or something. Set yourself increments throughout the day where you stop and you take a break because you reach a goal. When you reach a goal, it's important to reward yourself, because if you don't, you'll have absolutely no motivation. It doesn't matter what other motivational things you're doing. If you don't reward yourself, there won't be any motivation remaining for you. C. This is extremely important, and I advocate this so much. Write badly. I like to tell other writers that I meet that the first draft is just puking all over the floor, and then editing is shining up the floor and cleaning up the puke until it's sparkling, spotless, shining, and you're ready to invite people in. And this is a perfect example of what writing a book is really like, or really writing anything is like, is you just spew words. It is okay to have an entire chapter that makes no sense where you just spew. It's a first draft. It's okay for it to suck. It's okay for it not to make sense, not to be what you imagined. It's okay for your characters not to be deep. It's okay for your first draft to be terrible. The key is that you stuck to your inspiration and you know what your meaning of the story is. If you have those 2 key points, it doesn't matter how bad your first draft is, it can be saved. And quite honestly, the bad first draft is super encouraging when you finish it, because it's a huge chunk of work. That's like writing 100 essays or more where you knew nothing about the topic. That's a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. So if you're spewing and you feel like nothing is going the way it's supposed to, don't stress. It's okay to write badly. I promise. My first drafts have always been awful. It's completely okay to have an awful first draft. Next, tell people you were writing and how much you mean to do. I got this tip from my writing mentor, Miss Tammy, and I was talking about how like I always get lost and I never really finish, and she was like, well, if you do NaNoWriMo and you tell people that you're doing it, you tell people you have this goal in a certain amount of time that you're going to complete, then you're more likely to finish it. Why does this work? This works because when you tell people that you're going to do something and you don't do it, it kind of goes badly. People expect you to finish it, and so you automatically expect yourself to finish it, if only for the sake of proving them wrong when they said you couldn't do it. So tell people tell people the word count you intend to have and the time span you intend to have it done in. So if you're doing NaNoWriMo, that would be 50,000 words in a month. And people are probably going to gawk at you and think you're crazy to try to do 50,000 words in a month's time during school. And quite honestly, we're all crazy. Writers are crazy. As I forget what the quote, like who did the quote, but I posted it on my Facebook page not long ago. It was, "You are a writer. The normal ship sailed without you long ago." This is true. It's okay to have golfers and people who won't believe you. Just tell them that you're going to do what you've determined you're going to do, and then do it. When you say it, it's way more likely to happen. Next, let's discuss the dreaded writer's block that eats your brain. Everyone shudders when they hear writer's block. Even if they don't consider themselves a writer, they are going to have like essays in school or like an email they have to send, and writer's block scares the bejeebies out of all of us. It is absolutely the worst monster there is, you guys. There's nothing worse than writer's block. Nothing. So, I have a few steps to help you wipe out writer's block and chop it off at its roots. First step, avoid it. I already mentioned a couple ways you can avoid it through planning, but if you're a pantser, just follow my previous tip of write badly. Writer's block can't happen if you're willing to just write terribly and it's not going to go exactly the way you imagined it in your head. If you're willing to write badly, writer's block is almost negated automatically. Secondly, talk it out with a fellow writer or even someone who doesn't even like to read. Just talking about your ideas and like where you're finding like a mechanical problem in your story can be super helpful. Your mind works differently when you say things out loud. So if you're able to sit down and even like just sit down in front of a camera and talk out exactly what the problem is and talk out what your original ideas were, you're likely to find the place where writer's block is causing you an issue and be able to fix it. So talking it out is super important. That's why I recommend writing mentors. That's why I want you guys to talk to me. Writer's block can't exist when writers communicate with each other. So please, please, please talk to me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and let me know about your stories. I want to know these things. 3, be willing to take a break, or let your mind just dwell on where the problem is in your story. By this I don't mean sit in front of your computer and stare at the last sentence you wrote for 3 hours. What I mean is, go off and do something else, and your story will automatically be brewing in the back of your head. You will probably, like, say for example, you had a terrible day of writing, you got barely anything out, and then you have church that night. You can choose to sit in front of your computer and stare at the sentence for 3 hours while church is happening, or you can go to church that night, and I can pretty much guarantee you that when you come home from church, you will see where the problem is and be able to fix it, or you will have been inspired in the back of your head during service and know what you need to fix and what you need to do and how to continue. So be willing to take breaks. Don't get down on yourself if you have like even an entire 2 days where you don't write. This is where my problem always was when I was doing things like NaNoWriMo or other things like that, is I felt like I could never catch up if I took a day off. Quite honestly, I could get more words out after taking 2 days off than I could if I labored over it during the 2 days that I was supposed to be writing. So if you need to take a couple days off or just a few hours off, feel free to do so. It'll definitely help your mental faculties work better. Next, number 4. Keep trekking and don't let your mind dwell for too long. If you just can't figure it out, go on and go ahead and write in a different section of your story. If there's a particularly problematic area that you just don't know how to fix, this is especially helpful where planning comes in. If you've already planned your novel and you're getting stuck in the middle, but you know what your climax is going to be, just go ahead and skip the middle and start on your climax. When you write other sections of your story, it'll also help where the writer's block was before, just like talking it out or taking a break would do. Finally, does writer's block even exist? This is something personally that I think is that writer's block doesn't really exist. Typically, when I get writer's block or when someone I know gets writer's block, it's because they're afraid to say what they feel like typing out or writing out. I don't think writer's block is a real thing. I think being afraid is a real thing. I think what writer's block really is, down in its core, is fear. You don't want to write what you're feeling inside you should write. And that's either because you're scared of what you will find about yourself, or you don't want anyone else to read that. This is a whole other thing of write badly. That's the whole thing about the first draft. Write badly and write as if no one else is ever going to read it. If you write like that, you will come out with a first draft that is meaningful and important. And then you can edit it, and you can change it and revise it to the point where other people can read it. That's the issue I'm having with Mr. Arnold Brunch right now. When I was writing it, I would be literally in tears writing it because I didn't want to write what I felt I was supposed to write, or what me personally I needed to write. And then I sent out that first draft to people. I let it go. I was like, okay, breathe. The first draft was awful, you guys, and it was raw, and it was real, and it was emotional. But I showed it to people, and I wrote it. And now I'm editing it, and I'm getting it to a point where I can let anybody read it. And I won't be afraid of anyone thinking less of me. So, just don't be afraid to write badly. That's like the key of this whole entire first draft writing. Don't be afraid to write badly. And in fact, don't be afraid to be real with your readers. Your readers want you to be real. Your readers want to know that you're a real human person who has emotions and experiences. So when you're writing, let yourself come through in your writing. Don't be afraid of people being like weirded out by your thought processes or by your emotions or by your experiences. And don't be worried about what you will find about yourself when you write. I can promise you by the end of it all, you won't even be the same person. You'll be a changed person when you finish your book. I can guarantee that. Lastly, at the base of it all, just sit down and write. You're not going to get the first draft done if you don't sit down and make time and write. It's probably the biggest and hardest thing with writing is actually finding time. If you have a story inside of you, it needs to come out. So make time to sit down and write and let your characters be who your characters are meant to be. Okay, so to end off, I just want to remind you guys that I want to read what you write. I hope you will send me like a Facebook message or an email, and I would be happy to help you edit. When you're done with your first draft, I would be happy to help you with the mechanics of planning or actually writing your first draft. Whatever you need help with, please, please, please contact me. All my information will be in the description for that, and it's never hopeless when you're writing. It doesn't matter if you get lost or confused, or even if you absolutely just hate your first draft. There's no such thing as being a hopeless cause when you're writing. Practice does make perfect in writing, you guys. And finally, don't forget that The Home of Our Hearts is available on Amazon. Please go and pick up a copy. If you're in Las Lunas or Albuquerque area, contact me with my information in the description so I can get you a discounted copy. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and come back again next week for our next writing methods session.